let's be real here. Exactly how necessary is it for me to come up with a clever hook to tempt you into watching a full review of Cathay Pacific Boeing 777-300ER business class? Isn't it relatively safe to assume that most people would expect it to be pretty darn awesome, and that they're going to be curious about it no matter what? I think so, and that's why I'm not putting any effort into this intro. Good afternoon from the Hong Kong International Airport, Terminal 1. My name is Scott, and I'm taking a break from writing airline reviews over on Sandspotter.com to bring you this video. It's a full review of Cathay Pacific flight number 903 down to Manila on the Boeing 777-300ER. And I'm doing this in business class, as one does when flying Cathay Pacific between two major city pairs in Asia. Especially when you know that you're going to be flying on a newly configured aircraft with the latest business class cabin in it. And actually, to tell you the truth, I had no idea that I was going to be getting a ride on one of those aircraft. When I booked this, it was for the regional business class setup, which is not very good actually, but it was the best option available, especially when you consider that flying business class on Cathay Pacific is always a pretty good time, no matter what the configuration is. So I just booked it and hoped for the best. And boy, did I ever get lucky. There was an aircraft swap about 1 hour and a half before the scheduled departure time, which didn't really seem like a big deal at first, considering that this new aircraft was an older one, 17 years old, and my seat assignment didn't change, so I had no idea what I was in for. As a matter of fact, I thought I was wasting my time getting video clips for a video that I probably wasn't even going to edit and publish, but the fact that you're watching this means that things turned out pretty well. The scheduled departure time for this flight was 4:40 p.m., and despite the last-minute aircraft swap, they managed to get the boarding process started very close to on time. I think it was just 8 minutes behind schedule. It's not like I was counting down the minutes or anything. Then again, maybe I was. Just a few hours prior, I flew in from Seoul on a Cathay Pacific A330-300 in business class, and that was kind of good. If you want to find out what that experience was like, I have a full review over on my blog, sandspotter.com. But now, it is time to test Cathay Pacific Boeing 777-300ER long-haul business class on a short flight. Short-ish flight. Now, this was an exciting moment. What you're seeing here is the latest and greatest Cathay Pacific Boeing 777-300ER business class seat, long-haul style. They actually call these the Aria Suites. Aria. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but they're good, and the most important thing you need to know is that they're not actually seats. They're suites. Like, fully enclosed suites with a door, which is totally overkill for a 1 hour and 40-minute flight down to Manila, but I'm going to take it, and I'm not going to complain about it. This is really nice. It's a huge improvement over the old Boeing 777-300ER business class seat. Not necessarily in size, but just generally in textures and colors and materials. It just feels a whole lot more premium. Legroom is about the same, which, it was never that great anyway, but it is better than economy class, or even premium economy, by a long shot. And what's cool about this is, even though this is technically a regional flight around Asia, around Hong Kong, they were kind enough to include all the goodies, such as noise-canceling headphones. Not bad. There were also 2 menus on my seat when I arrived, one for food and the other for drinks. Although, and I really hate to admit this, but I think I ate too much in the lounge and I'm not all that hungry. Anyone who has flown Cathay Pacific business class out of Hong Kong knows that the Cathay Pacific lounges, all 3 of them, are amazing, and it's really hard not to overindulge. What we have here is the Cathay Pacific Delight, which consists of coconut milk, kiwi, and mint. Very delicious, and as far as I'm concerned, you didn't fly Cathay Pacific business class if you didn't hit one of these. Burning yourself with the hot towel is a soft requirement. Not totally necessary, but it was a perfect companion to the cool and crisp Cathay Pacific delight, actually. So, yeah, as I was saying, these are fully enclosed suites, extremely private. I didn't see anyone sitting next to me, even though this was a completely full flight. Then again, being completely oblivious to the world around me isn't all that surprising, considering that I have a very short attention span, and playing with all these trinkets and doodads and buttons and switches, it's a lot, and it's also very distracting in a good way. So, despite how overwhelming this feels, things are going pretty good so far. They got us pushed off the gate at 4:48 p.m., which was 8 minutes behind schedule, which is pretty good for having an aircraft swap happen so close to the departure time. Plus, too, the captain came on and said that there was a weather event happening in Manila at the time. Translation, typhoon. So he was fully expecting some arrival delays as we got closer to the Philippines. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but the official scheduled flying time is 2 hours and 10 minutes. It ended up being just a little bit under that, actually, and I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. We're still in Hong Kong, just a little bit behind schedule, and things are looking good. And for those of you who are curious, we did not get amenity kits on this flight. They didn't even provide any blankets or pillows, so it's not a true international business class experience. Although it certainly felt like it at this point, or at least up until this point. These seats are so amazing. That huge video screen had to be 24 inches at least. I didn't get my tape measure out, but it's huge. A little bit glossy too, which I'll complain about later, but otherwise it's amazing. Speaking of amazing, I love this airport. Hong Kong is probably my favorite airport in all the world. Just such a wide variety of aircraft types here, airlines, the scenery. It's amazing. So much stuff to see as you taxi out to the runway. Our departure runway for this afternoon is going to be 25 left, and what was really amazing about this is I don't think we even stopped once during the taxi out to the runway. I don't think I've ever been on a flight departing Hong Kong that wasn't delayed by a steady stream of aircraft coming and going in front of us. And not only that, I think this is the first time that I've ever had such a nice view when departing Hong Kong. As I said, this part of the world is so amazing. There's just so much to see on clear, crisp days like this. Yeah, this is about as crispy as it gets here in Hong Kong. But nonetheless, we got a really nice view of the city before the clouds came, and my camera went out of focus, and, well, that was that. Ladies and gentlemen, behold the huge 20-something-inch video screens here in Cathay Pacific Boeing 777-300ER business class. This is awesome. It is also very much stuck in Japanese, and of course I can't figure out how to get it back to English, so this is the way it's going to be. All you need to know is that this is the latest and greatest version of Studio CX, which is Cathay Pacific's amazing in-flight entertainment system. And I'm loving that UI. It's almost as good as what Starlux is offering on their aircraft at the moment. It's so good, so clean, very easy to navigate, even in Japanese. And the noise-canceling headphones are pretty good too. Not amazing, but pretty good. I still wasn't even close to being hungry after overindulging myself at the lounge back at the Hong Kong airport, but here we go with a full review of the dinner service. This is braised chicken with spring onion and ginger in Chinese rice wine. A very nice presentation, if I don't say so myself, and the thing that got me is that everything looked so fresh. Which, by the way, is a huge compliment considering that this is just a glorified TV dinner. How was that even possible? If I tried this at home, it would just be a mess. A disgusting pile of food that I wouldn't want to show anybody. But somehow, they totally nailed it. And yeah, the cabin crew on this flight also did a very good job. As I said, this was a very short flight, under 2 hours, and they came through the entire business class cabin within, I'd say, 15 minutes. Everyone had their dinner, and then they immediately followed that up with the drink service. And it was amazing to watch them work. They've obviously, they've done this before. It was darn near perfect, very well choreographed, perfectly timed. I didn't feel rushed at all, and I even had time to shut out the world and enjoy my meal in peace. This was nice, and I think it's worth noting that this was very different than my Starlux experience. Even when I shut the door when I flew Starlux business class, the cabin crew wouldn't leave me alone. But here on Cathay Pacific, I think they forgot that I even existed at one point. I didn't have a lot of time to test out the lie flat seat on this flight, but I did my best, starting with a trial of the leg rest, which it wasn't that good. I just think I'm too tall for this. Crossed legs is so much more comfortable. And speaking of legs and feet, the footwell in these seats is pretty tight, and I don't know, maybe this would have been more comfortable if I wasn't wearing shoes or a baseball cap. Regardless of how unprepared I was, this is a very comfortable lie flat seat. I could totally do a long haul in one of these. No problem. Let's talk about price here for a moment as we begin the descent into Manila. Now, this is something I don't normally like talking about, but I get a lot of requests for it, which I have no idea why, because airline ticket prices fluctuate so much. What I pay is not likely what you're going to pay, so I don't fully understand how it's relevant, but here we go. I paid $699.15 for this. That's US dollars, of course. But keep in mind that this was a booking from Seoul in South Korea all the way to Manila, so that's 2 flights in business class, totaling just about 6 hours of flying time, which in my book isn't so bad. I think it was worth it, especially if you factor in all of the bonuses you get for flying business class, as well as the credit card bonuses. In my case, I have the Amex Platinum card, which earns me 5 times the number of miles per dollar spent when purchasing airfare, so yeah, I thought it was a pretty good deal, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, as you can see, the weather is not so good here in Manila. There's actually a typhoon just rolling in, and we ended up doing some loops and some laps just east of the city, just before coming in. And despite all that, we landed 1 minute ahead of schedule at 6:59 p.m. And then you can see our track there on the video screen. It wasn't exactly a straight shot, but they did time it perfectly because this was when the storm was just about ready to hit. It hadn't hit full on yet, so we got really lucky, and I was very thankful for that. So, as this video wraps up, I think the question to you is, was I correct in the beginning of this video where I said it wasn't really necessary to explain how awesome Cathay Pacific Business Class is? Did this live up to your expectations, or maybe was it not quite what you were expecting? I'd love to know, so please drop your comments and thoughts down in the comments section below. I will get back to them as soon as I can. And, as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. And please sign up for my newsletter. Link in the description below.